Super Rugby Dream Team for week number 1. I've gone through and had a look at some of the stats at the games and picked 15 of the best players. It was a very tough week in a few positions. I'm looking at outside backs, back rowers, even number 10s. There were a fair few good performers, and I've had to swing the axe and narrow it down to 15. As always, you guys let me know your thoughts when I'm done, and who else you would have had in, because I'm definitely leaving out some guys who put in some very big shifts. Start with the props. I've gone with the Highlander first up in Tyrell Lomax. He had some pretty good numbers. 2 runs for 28 meters, which is a very good return for a guy wearing that jersey number. 1 defender beaten, 2 clean breaks. 2 runs, 2 clean breaks. That's a pretty good effort. 2 passes, an offload, a try assist, and made 8 out of 8 tackles. Scrum which held up pretty well. So, yeah, more than happy to put him in there. If I was picking any Highlanders players, I wouldn't have thought a prop would have been their first choice, but hey, that's the way it is. And next, a perhaps slightly more familiar one. I got 2 tight heads this week. Remember, this is just like a fantasy team. I'm picking from all props, all loosies, all outside backs, so it kind of all clumped together. Kalu Sadi for the Lions had some pretty big shoes to fill with some of the props that left over the off-season. He had 5 runs for 1 meter, so not quite the same effort with the ball as Lomax, but he made 10 from 10 tackles, and the key point as to why I have him here, apart from the scrum being good, is he had 3 turnovers, which for a prop is phenomenal. It's the same as what Malcolm Marx had, and we know Malcolm Marx is good at that, so Sadi, a very good effort there. Speaking of hookers, I didn't go for Marx, even though I was very tempted. I did go for Aka van der Merwe. I would have gotten in trouble, I think, if I hadn't have picked Aka. I remember I picked Marx over him once last season, and a few Sharks fans weren't happy. Probably rightly so. The guy is a heck of a player. 2 tries. Impressive. 5 runs, 20 meters, a pass, an offload, 6 from 6 tackles, and 100% at the line out. So the guy who was, for whatever reason, not on the Springboks radar towards the end of last season, puts his hand back up for old Erasmus to say, I'm still here, just give me a chance. If he keeps putting in shifts like that, no reason why he can't be back in Springbok green. Second row, I've gone with Jed Holloway from the Waratahs. Probably not the sexiest pick when you got the likes of Brody Retallick and Lud Diacha playing, but 7 runs, 13 meters. Is that at 8 defenders beaten? If that's right, that's very good. 1 pass, 10 from 10 tackles, but the main reason I had him in here, it's either an 8 or a 3. Either way, it's pretty good. If it's an 8, that's exceptional. 3 line-out steals. Similar to Wasadi with his turnovers on the ground. Getting turnovers in the air is equally important, and it's one of the key factors which a lot of locks are judged by. Not all that good in the air, but he is definitely one of them. Next, on the other lock, I've gone with Scott Barrett from the Crusaders. So he had 1 run for 1 meter, which is not very impressive, but 4 passes, 18 out of 19 tackles, and the Crusaders had to make a whole lot of tackles against the Blues in their most recent game, their first game of the season. He also had 2 turnovers and a line-out steal, so 3 of these guys have both been really key at turning the ball over at least 3 times each for their respective teams. So, I mean, it's a coach's dream that you've got a player who can do that kind of thing. We'll see if these guys can do that kind of stuff week in, week out. Next, and I've got another Crusader here in the loose forwards. I've gone with Matt Todd. And his middle name should be Tackle after this week, because I mean, he had 2 runs, 5 meters, 1 pass, nothing too spectacular, but 25 tackles, only missed 2. 25 tackles is a tackling machine effort. He was the highest this week by a country mile. I think the next best was maybe 18. Yeah, he was just a tackling machine, and he also got 2 turnovers. He was penalised 3 times, which probably is a bit of a setback, but his tackle count was just that much more than anybody else. I couldn't not put him in, despite the fact that he was tackling my favourite team. My team, the Blues, so it's a pity. But speaking of the Blues, I have gone with Akira Ioane in this loose forward trio. So remember, I'm picking from all 6, 7s, and 8s for this one. 1 try, 20 runs, 100 meters. 100 metres for a number 8 is pretty phenomenal. 4 defenders beaten, 2 clean breaks, 5 passes, and 7 out of 8 tackles. He's never had a problem doing work with the ball, and he proves that in this game. Hopefully he can up some of that work rate in terms of his defensive plays and get himself on the All Blacks radar for 2019, because he is just such a devastating ball runner. It's probably a bit unfortunate that he plays in the same position as the All Black captain. So that World Cup squad may be a bridge too far, but hey, if he keeps putting in good shifts, you never know. Last one, and he was probably the first name on the team sheet this week, Manus Skurman from the Lions. A hat trick of tries for this guy. I mean, we all know he's good, but is he hat trick guys good? Hat trick tries good? Apparently he is. 3 tries, 6 runs for 11 metres. He only made 11 metres and he still managed 3 tries. The back of that Lions maul is a very sweet place to be. And one from a tight head, but it was good. 3 defenders beaten, 1 clean break, 11 out of 12 tackles, and 2 turnovers. So the guy was doing everything. He's probably too small to get in the Springboks, to be fair, but the guy has got the biggest ticker, and if you're just judging him on performance alone, he always puts his hand up, man. He seems to be a real hard-working player. Into the backs, and I've gone with Will Guinea at number 9. 6 runs, 28 metres, 1 clean break, 1 defender beaten, but 3 try assists. And it's what he did for the Rebels last season as well. He was just their key try assists guy, and he's already started that way. Having Quade Cooper outside him is definitely going to help this year as well. Hopefully Guinea stays fit, because he didn't play. He played about half the season last year, and he was still their leading try assister. So yes, he needs to stay fit for both the Wallabies and for the Rebels, and they could have a decent season. Number 10, I didn't go with Quade, despite him having a pretty good game. I have gone with Andre Pollard from the Bulls. He really controlled that game, didn't he? I mean, I only saw the highlights. It's one of those ones that was on in the middle of the night. I didn't get to see it, but 4 runs for no meters is an interesting stat, but 9 passes. He had 14 kicks, and he seemed to have the ball on a string, both from the tee and from hand. 1 try assist, and 4 from 4 conversions, 4 from 4 penalties, 100% kicking rate. 7 out of 8 tackles. Every time I saw him pop up in the highlights, he just seemed to be in control. Just took that game away from the Stormers and never let them get into it. So, very good effort from him. Another Bulls player in the midfield, I've gone with Jesse Creel. 5 runs, 27 metres, 1 defender beaten, 2 clean breaks, 4 passes and an offload, all very nice. But 1 try, 2 try assists, and 10 out of 11 tackles. That guy just seemed to be everywhere as well, both defensively and with the ball. Just seems to be in charge. I always feel like that guy's got another gear in him. But if he can keep playing like that, maybe that'll be his top gear. I guess we will see. Another 13 in the midfield, I had gone with Anton Leonard-Brown. He was probably the best player on the field during that Chiefs match, even though they ended up losing. 13 runs, 32 metres, 10 defenders beaten, which is double figures for that, is phenomenal. 1 clean break, 5 passes, an offload, a try assist, and 9 from 9 tackles. So a very solid defensive effort from him. And that Highlanders midfield is not bad. So for him to maintain a 100% record is pretty good stuff. Outside backs, I've gone with another Bull. I've gone with Roscoe Speckman. How good was his introduction to the Bulls? Very, very good. 5 runs for 94 metres. This guy, if he can keep this kind of form up, even if it's not at this level, even if it's a bit down, is still going to be very good. 7 defenders beaten, 3 clean breaks, 2 passes and offload, 2 tries, 7 out of 8 tackles. We know what he can do in 7s. See if he can keep this up in 15s. This spot I've given to Geordie Barrett, and I was kind of umming and ahhing about this one. I had a whole bunch of other guys. I've chopped and changed. I've settled on Geordie, mainly for his kind of clutch kicking, because 13 runs, 62 metres, that's good, but other guys did have better run numbers, like Falau, although his handling was poor. 2 defenders beaten, 1 clean break, 4 passes, an offload, 2 out of 2 tackles, not called upon there, but those 2 conversions and those 2 penalty goals, 100% with the boot, won the Hurricanes the game. Hurricanes didn't look that flash in that game, but they did enough, and he was the man for the moment, whereas Foley kind of fluffed his lines, likewise Plummer for the Blues. But Geordie Barrett, Mr. Reliable this week. Lastly, I've gone with Jack Maddox from the Rebels. 7 runs, 61 metres, 2 defenders beaten, 3 clean breaks, a pass, 2 tries, and 4 out of 6 tackles. I do like tries. It's probably the main reason he gets in the side. Other guys had better numbers in some areas, but for a guy to get 2 tries in that game was a pretty good shift as well. There's plenty of guys I could have mentioned other than these guys. If I was picking a bench, there'd be a whole lot of Highlanders because boy did that bench have some impact. Pete Samu for the Brumbies. I haven't got any Brumbies on here. I hope he gets some starts because his numbers were really good for a guy who didn't play that many minutes. Adi Savia was also likewise very good. Nana Satoro for the Chiefs also got 2 tries. He could be here easily. There are plenty of others. Malcolm Marks. Sharks. I've only got 1 Shark and they gave the Sunwolves an absolute hiding. So, yeah, that's the 15. You guys let me know your thoughts on this side. As I said, it's just 15 of the best players, not necessarily strictly numbered from 1 to 15. But you guys let me know your thoughts. Pick your own 15 if you want. 15 of your best. And, yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.